Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all good. So I thought I'd make this video smack bang in the middle of tour. I'm currently on tour with Toska, although I am at home. That's because we played a gig last night really close to home, so we all stayed here, and then we're going off back again tomorrow for another 10 days across the UK or something like that. So if you didn't know that, then please go and check it out if you fancy coming and watching us and saying hello and things like that. Anyway, thought it was a good opportunity to do a quick video, so I threw a light up in the camera and thought, why not? So anyway, I thought it'd be cool to talk about chords, because I get asked a lot about the kind of chords I use and my approach to chords. And I guess, personally, I don't think they're anything special. I've developed a couple of habits, I think, with chords, but I don't sit here thinking, oh, I'm doing something really unique. I just like the way they sound, and I don't really have much theory knowledge. I gained a bit, mainly into vallic theory and harmony, but with regards to chord theory, not so much. I guess I know traditional chords through maybe at ACM. I suppose I learned more about the traditional chord structures, like things like a major 7 being that, and the minor, stuff like major 13. And all those chords are cool, particularly if you're reading chord charts and you can see the different chord names coming up. I think that's fair enough. You know, if you know your major 13, you know minor 7s and 11s and all that stuff, then cool, it works. It's great to be able to voice chords differently. However, they never pay any relevance to me when it comes to writing a song, particularly Toska stuff, because it's a lot more empty, there's no vocal and there's no real place for lead because it thins everything out. So I try and make chords that are broken across 2 octaves mainly, so that you get that nice wider chord sound. So it really helps to be in drop tuning, which is, I play in a drop tuning a lot of the time. I used to think that was cheating, but really it's not. It's just a different tuning. You know, having the open chord at the bottom, useful. It's a really useful tuning, just because I've found in the kind of chords I like, and maybe it's because I've spent a lot of time playing in drop tunings for original music, that it makes it quite easy to place my finger in a certain shape and find something that I could use. And that's kind of what I do, because I don't have theory knowledge to go, I'm going to play minor 11 sharp 9 or whatever stuff. I just kind of go, that's a nice sounding chord, this is a nice sounding chord. So my approach, I guess, would be I kind of make them up, even though they're definitely chords. I just, in my mind, I'm making it up. So, for example, in drop D, well, we're in drop C sharp. So for this, it would be play a D sus2. If you don't know what that is, index finger G string 2nd fret, ring finger B string 3rd fret, and then that's it. So now, if you're in a drop tuning, you can use all 6 strings to get a really wide sound. What's cool about that is that I just take the same theory as bar chords. So imagine the nut, you move it up and down the fretboard, and then I'll use my ring finger and little finger to play that same sort of D sus2 chord shape. So it's 2 frets higher than my bar on the G and B string, and you get this. So it's the same as just playing it down and open, but you can move it around, and that, when you've got distortion, bit of reverb and stuff, and you're playing, you know, big chords, it sounds epic, you know? And then from there I started to branch out. That was my first kind of discovery with that. And then I started to branch out. I started to do, like, for example, you can play major and minor versions of that, so which is useful. Although if you wanted to go a bit further and start experimenting, it becomes a little more articulate, but it's useful. And this is where I now sit in terms of when I'm discovering new chord shapes. So in answer to the questions, what kind of chords do you use and what's your approach to using them and writing with them, this would be it. So take a chord like this. I'll take the root and I'll still use But now I start to move these two, the ring finger and little finger around. So hopefully that demonstrated the point I'm trying to make, which is that I'm experimenting. I'm moving my fingers around the different strings, mainly the sort of D, G and B string, to find my intervals, to find these sort of fragmented, wider intervallic chord shapes. And they really, really, really help. One of the ones I use a lot is just a straight 2-note interval between the root and the major or minor. So for example, 5th fret on the E string, and then the major version would be G string 4th fret, drop that down a fret, you have the minor. I use those a lot. And then that's my foundation, I'll build on it. So So that's kind of where that's where my head's at when I'm thinking about writing cool chords. So for example, a section from one of the Toska tunes, this one for example. So with that chord progression, again, it was experimentation. I wasn't trying to think of something very clever. In a nutshell, I was kind of working out cool intervals, and not just intervals between the notes in the chord. I'm talking about intervals between the chords. So for example, starting with the open sort of it's a really uncomfortable sound, but that's what I was going for. I wanted that kind of weird, not sure where you're at, you know, that kind of vibe. And then moving up to the last chord in that sequence, so now, I mean, again, this theoretically it might be completely wrong. I don't know. It just sounds good, and you know, that's my ethos. If it sounds good, it doesn't matter if it's theoretically correct or not, because at the end of the day, who's right and who's wrong, who's the judge, in my opinion. That's the starting block, is experimentation. Find a tuning that you're comfortable in, whether it's standard tuning or drop tuning, and then just start with your root and then start looking at intervals. Move your fingers around in shapes that feel comfortable but you may not have tried, and see if you get a cool sound, you know. So if I was to look at that really quickly, I suppose there are a few things to bear in mind. Firstly, I started with trying to find notes that kind of sounded cool, came across some ugly ones, and then tried to move the frets just to see if anything worked before I sacked it off, before I said, well, that just doesn't work. And I found something, because originally I had this. And drop the little finger 1 fret. kind of a cool sound. And then moving on from that, I moved to the second strings, the A strings, to play a minor chord. And then I moved through a movement like this. And what I was thinking about there wasn't the whole chord, I'm going intervals. So starting with the minor. My next chord was this. So I'm hearing this. So third chord. So and then we had that sort of like, is it a diminished, half diminished sort of sound? So I hear that as this. And then finally, because the thing is, the notes in between it just support the chord sound. You know, it gives you more texture, gives you more sort of dimensions to the sound. But really, what your ears are listening to is the root and the interval, the main interval that describes major, minor, diminished, that kind of stuff. That's what your ear is going to listen to first. So anything in between that you can experiment with and find what helps that sound, what supports it more. And that's how I go about writing chords. I'd like to do this in a more concise way, maybe looking at sections of some songs and stuff like that and talking about it maybe, but let me know what you think, if I touched on the right subjects, if it was helpful. But as I said, this is just a mid-tour video. I'm going straight back out on tour tomorrow, but I thought, let's make a video and put it online in between other things. So anyway, I hope it was useful. Please like, subscribe and share. Comment in the comment section below, and I will see you very soon.